are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
You are now watching the Alan and DJ Show.
Yo, yo, yo. Milwaukee, Sun Prairie, and all the surrounding areas. Y'all know what time this is. It's time for the Alan and DJ TV show program. And of course, I'm Alan.
And this is your boy, DJ.
And we got our good old friend back here. He came today. His name is Greg Cooper, who talked to Bambi the Deer about giving me directors, as far as like giving me like direction as far as like how to like I guess like navigate through a film. But I said, Bambi, if that's what you want me to do, fine. So we're gonna talk to Greg Cooper again today. So Greg, today we want to talk about the director side as far as like doing like an independent film. So I guess my question to you would be, when directing a film, explain the creative process behind like making a film.
Yeah, so we talked about that last time a little bit, so I'm going to give you the much shortened version of that. So there's pre-production, production, post-production. So a director is kind of the person, and it's like the project manager, if you will.
Nice.
Right? So the project is the film. So pre-production always starts with the idea, then it goes to the script, then it goes to the storyboard and shot list, okay? Then we go to the production. Now, part of production is being able to find locations.
Right.
You got to remember, too, locations is important because it helps sell your story. Like, you know, we're just in front of a green screen here doing a film, and there was nothing, you know, doesn't really sell your story. So you want to find good locations that really help sell your story. The other thing is, part of being a good director is finding the right actors.
For sure.
Actors are very important, and you know, part of finding the right actor, you know, is them being able to sell that they are that character to the audience. So when the audience watches it, they need to think, that's not Alan, that's Ralphie, you know?
For sure.
When we're
oh yeah, for sure. Oh man.
so he's,
bring up Alfie.
You know, he's always going to be Ralphie to me. You know? But so that's a big part of it. And then, so locations, props, right?
Yeah.
So if you get some kind of plastic, if it's an axe murderer movie, like a horror movie, and you get some plastic piece of crap that you bought from Walmart, you know, and it's just like this plastic toy axe, that's not really selling it, right?
Yeah.
But if you go and you buy a real prop from a prop store, that's an axe, even though it's fake and made of rubber and it won't hurt anybody, it looks real.
Yeah.
And then I can hit you right in the head, Alan.
Like,
and it'll look like, you know, it'll look like, oh my God, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So props, locations, actors, that's all important. And then when you're on set too, you know, part of being a good director is, yes, it's your vision as the director, right? And you want to work with actors that you know, are going to be reliable. Oh my God, that is a big one, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Reliability is just...
we get that a lot in show business.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times we've cast people, me and my friends who I do films with, we cast people and then they just don't show. Or what's worse is the last film that I did, Indie Guys, it was a feature-length film. We had a guy who was playing a villain. He was our main character villain.
Yeah.
Right? He bails halfway through the production. And I'm like, what are we going to do? So me and my friend who we co-directed, we actually had to write another scene to introduce another character who continued on with that villain role.
Yeah.
So it was a big to-do, and we actually that added another scene to our movie.
Right.
So, and it's not fair when you do that kind of stuff. It's not fair to the other people. Not just the director and the producer, but the other actors who are sitting there waiting for you and you don't show up.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the director is also a big part, very integral in the editing process, right?
For sure.
Because again, it's their film. So a lot of times, I edit my own stuff, but if you have an editor that you work with, because you got to remember, this is a team. Like I said,
Right.
you're a project manager. In an ideal world, we'd have a bunch of people, one person on a camera, one person doing sound,
Right.
one person editing, one person clapping the clapboard, one person doing this, one person doing that. Everybody would have a role.
Yep.
That's an ideal world if you have a big budget, right?
Yep.
For me, it's me and maybe one other guy, a friend. That's my crew, right?
Sure.
And then the actors, we just find people who are interested in acting. We get them there. We find a location, somebody who is willing to let us shoot at their house or their business or whatever, and that's it. And then the editing part of it, like I said, usually I do my own editing, but if you hired somebody or you had somebody else doing it, a director would sit there and, okay, cut to this, cut to that, cut to this. It's just like a switcher in the back.
Yeah.
Where you're going, shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. The director does the same thing in post-production. And then, they determine like maybe what kind of music you're going to play and all those things. So there's a lot to what a director does, more than just sit there like this and, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
Like the typical cliche director.
Yeah, exactly.
My question to you is, how do you get your production team and your actors to see your vision? 'Cause that got to be hard.
Yeah, it is hard because everybody's got competing visions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of times. So especially when you co-direct. So I co-direct a lot with my friend Jared Crooks.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are not seeing things the same way. Like I want to do it one way, he has another idea, right? Mm-hmm. It's not bad. It's not a bad thing to have different competing visions because it actually we challenge each other. Mm-hmm. And then eventually somebody has to be, we have to go with one of the ideas. Or
Sure.
Yeah.
better is if we collaborate and say, okay, let's maybe do a mixture of ideas and stuff
Okay.
like that, right? And so he's working with somebody now that he's been doing a lot of films with lately, not me, but somebody else, that they often have competing visions. And it's not easy because and a lot of times it's just different style. It's not that
Right.
one is bad and one is good.
Yeah.
It's just different. The person he's working with now, he likes to do a lot of silly humor.
Okay.
And that would not be me. I don't like silly humor. We're talking like pies in the face kind of humor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just too slapsticky for me.
Yeah.
Not my gig. But when I'm trying to, you got to sell it because, to answer your question, a lot of times you got to sell your idea to your team. They have to have what's called buy-in,
Buy-in.
right?
Okay. Yep.
So that's another term in project management that they use. Your team has to believe in what you're doing, and they have to trust you. And that trust doesn't come in one single time. It takes time to develop that
I would
trust.
imagine.
Yeah.
And eventually people say, you know what? I've worked with Greg a bunch of times. I trust him. I'm just gonna let it. I'm gonna follow his direction. But it takes time to get there. So until you get there, it's a lot of headbutting. It's a lot of arguing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
So what's your process behind like building characters for your film?
yeah. So a lot of times, again, when you're writing, you got to make sure that you have an appropriate character, right? Mm-hmm. So for me, I think of people that I know a lot of times. So a
Right.
lot of my characters are really people that I know that I'm like, oh, that's like my friend Jim. So I use him as like my base, right? So it's not Jim. It's not supposed to be Jim.
Yeah.
But it's based on him.
Right, right.
What would Jim do in this scenario, right? How would he act? And then you write based on that. In fact, that feature film I was talking about earlier, Indie Guys, we had our two main characters were based on me and the other director. We were also the actors in it, and that was 100% like I'm not as big of a jerk as my character was.
Right, right.
But a lot of the things that happened to that character were things that have happened to me, and I use maybe to make it a little more entertaining, I might have added, a little bit more anger to that character
Oh, yeah,
than
like,
I
gotta
probably
sell
would
it.
have.
Yeah.
Right? But it was more for entertainment for that character to be the jerk that he was. So I'm not that big of a jerk. I mean, I'm a jerk, but I'm not that big.
Oh yeah. Just don't be late.
Yeah, don't
Show
be
up on
late,
time.
right?
Show up on time. No, that's good though, Greg. And I think DJ got another question for you behind that one.
When you developing like the actors' characters and stuff like that, do you base it on like when you interview? Do you base it on like their personal experience or their societal influence?
When I'm casting?
Yes.
I just, again, I really think that when I'm casting, I'm just really seeing if that person can be that character. That's really the biggest thing when I'm casting.
Yeah.
Some people, when they're casting, it also goes to reliability because I'll never cast that person who didn't show up.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So, and you know what? Filmmakers talk. So if you have a good reputation with one filmmaker or a bad reputation with one filmmaker, trust me, if you are somebody who isn't reliable or who's a hard person to get along with, that gets around real quick.
Okay.
Because we all know each other, and we know each other because we all get into film festivals and stuff like that. So
Right.
I mean, that's how I know most of the filmmakers that I know is through like film festivals and stuff like that. So
Nice.
Nice.
but you want people, basically that can pull off the role
Yeah.
and who are going to be reliable. That's really the two main things.
Okay.
Reliability is everything. A lot of casting directors do not like that. But when it comes to like new camera techniques, like how can that be explained as far as like when you're talking about like a story, like telling a story like differently, like when it comes to like certain type of like camera techniques?
Yeah, camera techniques. So cameras, I'm just going to be honest with you, that's not really my forte.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell a story, but a lot of times, there's better people out there to do camera, right? Than me, and I usually will bring them on my team.
Okay. Sure.
And they do what's called director of photography.
Okay.
They might also be the camera person in a small budget like ours, but they're the ones kind of like, okay, here, let's do like a slow pull up, like a zoom in.
Okay.
Or they might say, oh, let's do a moving shot, like, where the camera's moving, like that. And a lot of them have different effects. Lighting is a thing too. Like, you might want to do, they have these, like, little pieces of plastic that go over lights. And for different moods, like if you're trying to get a mood, like a sad mood, you might put a blue gel, is what they're called. You put a blue gel in front of the light.
Yeah.
And that blue kind of is sadness.
Right.
Yep.
Red would be anger, right?
Yeah.
So if so different lighting tech. I think lighting is probably more important than the camera movement. But
Got you.
But lighting is very important. And then the camera, like I said, you do different angles and different shots to get different things across with your storytelling, and it does help your storytelling. It absolutely does. But like I said, I usually work with somebody who's better on camera than me to get that done.
Nice.
So, how important is location when it comes down to visual storytelling?
It's very important.
Okay.
It's probably one of the most important things, especially in a low budget film.
Yeah.
I remember watching this one film one time when I was doing Casting Call.
Yeah.
It was one of the films that was submitted and something that we showed. And this guy, he was out of Kenosha, and it was like he was shooting, like his entire movie was shot in like 3 rooms, and it was a feature-length film. It was like, okay. Most of it was a bedroom, and they're having a conversation. The characters, there was like 6 characters, and they're all in this bedroom sitting in chairs on the sides of beds.
Yeah.
Can you think of a way there might be a better way to shoot that? I mean, you've never directed a film, but Can you think of a better way to
Right.
Yeah.
help sell your story than 6 people sitting in a room talking to each other? Do you sit in your bedroom, right, and talk to people?
Right.
I mean, maybe when you were in college, I guess,
Yeah.
or, you know, if you're with your buddies and kind of hanging around. But most people would sit at a table or a living room or something like that,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But, you know, his choices I didn't think were great for that kind of shooting. So you got to pick, you know, if you're doing a story about a guy working in a warehouse,
Right.
is walking through the woods a good, you know, make it work, you know,
Yeah.
it's got to correlate with your story, and it does help
agree.
with your storytelling.
Yeah.
So how important is a location when it comes to like visual telling?
Well, like I just said, location is like a key, and as far as telling the story, it's very important because, like, again, it helps sell your film. All these things, props, actors, locations, they all help sell your film.
Right.
When you have somebody who's watching your film, you want somebody watching it and being like never thinking this is fake. This is like something, I'm looking through a window and watching these people
Right.
in real life. That's what you want your audience to think when you're making a film.
Absolutely. What technological innovations do you use to enhance the viewing experience?
Yeah, so there's a program called After Effects,
Okay.
and that's one of them. So when we're doing editing, I use Final Cut Pro 10 and I use After Effects, and a lot of times with After Effects you get what's called motion graphics and animation. So like you might animate your logo at
Nice.
the beginning, stuff like that. You do like at the end you do your credits and you do what's called a credit roll, you know, things
Okay.
like that. When it comes to the editing, so editing software can also be used similar to lighting
Okay.
to give like mood. And in my Final Cut Pro editing software, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I can pull from and give it different effects,
Nice.
different looks. So like if it's a horror film, they have, or like a war movie,
Yeah.
they have like different effects. And like one of them is called bleach.
Okay.
Right? And it makes everything like grayish. So you might see some films out there next time you watch a film that's like either a horror movie or a war movie. It's like almost like this like dingy gray color.
Yeah.
They're using that effect. So
Okay.
now you know. Now you're gonna watch a film, your next film, and you're gonna be like, Greg said.
Yeah, like now you got me curious. Like now I'll be looking out for that. And when it comes to like different type of challenges that when it comes to like dealing like with a film producer, like what type of challenges do you face when like directing a film?
Yeah, there's always a challenge. Like I don't think I've ever done a film yet where there wasn't 800 challenges to overcome.
Right.
There's always a challenge to overcome. It can be anything from, we've had situations where our location was set and we show up and the guy says, I didn't say you could shoot here. I just talked to you yesterday.
Right,
Yeah,
I
you
just talked
did.
to you.
And now what, you know? And you got to be able to think quick on your feet when that kind of stuff happens, right?
Right.
I told you before, actors not showing up, right? Or I had this one time, actually, remember we were talking about
Yeah.
Maurice?
Yeah.
Maurice is a friend of mine. He's one of my go-to actors. He's awesome.
Really good.
Maurice Pooley. And him and I were doing a film where I was a hitman and he was a character. He was playing a homeless character, a homeless person, and we were underneath a bridge right by my house, and I thought we'd be okay, right? Well, my character was a hitman, remember that?
Yeah.
And I was feeding him a drug to see if it worked.
Right.
And then I shot him, and people were driving by underneath this bridge, and they're driving by, and the next thing I know, there's 5 cop cars that come zooming up. And here I got this, it's a fake gun, but it was a gun, right?
Right.
And I'm like,
Right. Like, dude, like we just
I'm
doing
not doing it,
the
I swear. And they're like, and I'm like, okay, this is good. It's, you know, so it was a little scary, you know.
Yeah.
And
No, like I would imagine.
Maurice, that guy just cracks me up with his acting sometimes.
Hey, super funny too. Like
is.
off camera, you know, like just the energy of the room, man. And I had so many like fun battles with this dude, man. From us competing at times against each other in a fun way to us just, really taking like acting classes together and just getting better. And we both met through this guy right here, Greg.
Yeah.
So like that's
you were my two favorite casts for that show from Casting Call.
Yeah, and it was funny that you mentioned that because I remember was a part in the Casting Call where like they had us going at it, like, oh, who's this Alan guy, or who's this Maurice guy? Like, yeah, I heard about him. He alright, but it was fun though.
Yeah,
it was like a good competitive, like really good competitive like sport. But
and incidentally, for anybody looking for a good actor, I haven't worked with you, DJ, but I've worked with Alan, and I can attest that he is very directable and a good guy to work with and a pretty solid actor. I maybe will work with you someday, and I would love to.
Okay.
And yeah, hopefully I can say the same thing about you, DJ. I don't know.
I appreciate you.
No, but I have a question. Like,
sure.
What unique challenges could a character face that would resonate with the audience?
Say that again.
Like, what unique challenges could a character face that would resonate with the audience?
Yeah, or not resonate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes emotion, like again, it's really hard to sell certain things. Emotion is one of them. So when you get up there, and you think you're doing a good job, right? You're playing this role. You're doing this character, and you don't know. Am I selling this?
Right?
Are people just thinking I'm awful? Like that's what's going on in your head. But especially like really emotional scenes. Like I played an emotional scene one time. It was horrible. I'm not even going to tell you what film it is because it was so awful. And I'm like, Joey, and it's like, no, and I'm after it, you never really realize it until after you watch it.
Yeah.
But that's part of what the director is supposed to do. A director is supposed to reel you in a little bit and help you through those tough times when you're playing a really emotional part, and just being like, hey, tone it down a little bit, Alan. Ralphie's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I think you almost had to tell me that in that dumpster scene. I was like, oh my God, it reeks up here.
Yeah, what was in that garbage can that smelled so bad?
Man.
It was a couple of days worth of rotten food. I
yes,
think.
I remember somebody came out the building and threw a bag on top of me. I'm like, are we almost done? You're like, hold on now. I got a couple more takes.
And what he's not telling you is, I actually shut the lid and said, yeah, I'll be right back, Alan. And then I left for the night.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened to him after that.
Oh man, dude, like that's funny, man. But how can the audience find you, Greg? Like, in case they want to like ask you any questions.
Yeah, so I am. I work at Blackhawk Technical College, so I teach film there.
Sure.
And you can get a hold of me. It's best to get a hold of me through my email through there, and that would be G Cooper. So it's GKUPER at blackhawk.edu.
Nice. One of the best video, film, and directors and producers that I ever worked with. I tell you, like this guy gave me my start. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And this is the Alan and DJ Show. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Well, my personal Facebook and Instagram at Alan Hutchinson. You can find William J. Smith on Instagram and Facebook. And then you can find the Alan and DJ Show at gmail.com if you have any questions. And also, you can find us on YouTube and Facebook at the Alan and DJ Show. And until next time, be the director of your own life. You don't want to take too many directions, but sometimes you need directions to get there, and this is the guy to call. Stay well, stay healthy.
Peace.